Good morning. This is Sunday morning, July the 5th. I'm glad to be with you today. I hope today is a great day for you. And perhaps something we say today may either entertain you, challenge you, convict you, encourage you, but I do hope it'll be a help to you. That's what we want to do. Yesterday, we celebrated the 250th birthday of our country. Boy, what a testimony that is of God's goodness to us. There are a lot of people in our country that were saying they're not proud to be an American. Many people said they think the flag is an outdated symbol, that it should not be used because it is a divisive thing. My feeling about that is very deep because my personal opinion, if you're not happy in America, then go somewhere else where you can be happy. We have a lot of people today trying to take our country towards socialism and communism. If that's what you want, go to Cuba. And after you're there for a little while, come back and tell us what a joyful experience that was. A few years ago, I have a nephew who was going in and out of Cuba all the time in mission work. He was down there, and a doctor, a medical doctor in Cuba, finally got freedom through Rusty and came to America. And when he came, he was telling us that doctors in Cuba at that time made $20 a month. Why? Because it didn't matter what your job was. You got paid what the government said you got paid. Wouldn't that be a wonderful place to live? And you go through and look at the cars that were running up and down the streets. Most of them were 40 and 50 years old, barely running anymore. There's not any prosperity there. Why? Because communism, socialism destroys it. The people coming over to America during this time of the World Cup soccer, many of them have been amazed. They go into the stores in our country and cannot believe what they see there. One of the interesting things is how many people coming from these European socialist type countries come here and go into Walmart and cannot believe it. I think they died and went to shopper's heaven, but they are just overwhelmed by what we have in our country. And yet we've got people that don't have enough sense to realize how great God has blessed us. And they want to take us to the place that these others have come from. Well, I'm sad for them. I want you to know that I am happy to be an American. I'm proud to be an American. And we ought to be celebrating 250 years. You say, preacher, is everything in America the way you want it? No, we have problems, but it's still the greatest nation on earth. Today, we're going to be talking about Independence Day. And so I hope you'll stay with us as we do that. Speaking of Washington, D.C., I heard about a little boy who needed $100 very badly, and his mother told him just to pray and ask God for it. So he prayed and prayed for 2 weeks, but nothing turned up. Then he decided he was going to write God a letter requesting $100. When the postal authorities received the letter addressed to God, they thought, boy, we've never had a letter addressed to God. So they opened it to see what it said. And when they saw it, they sent it to the President of the United States. The president was so impressed and touched and amused that he instructed his secretary to send the little boy $5. He thought $5 would be a lot of money to a little boy. Well, the little boy was delighted with the $5 and sat down to write a thank you letter to God, which read as follows: Dear God, thank you very much for sending the money. I noticed that you had to send it through Washington. As usual, those morons deducted $95. Thanks anyway. Well, that's about the size of it, isn't it? Washington seems to take their share. Today, I want to read a fairly long passage, but I want to read it to you. It's in Leviticus chapter 25. God established in the nation of Israel certain principles that they were to operate as a nation by. And so in Leviticus chapter 25, the Lord is setting up the law of the Sabbath years and the year of Jubilee, the 50th year. And this is the way it was. And thou shalt number 7 Sabbaths of years unto thee, that is, 7 sevens. 7 times 7 years. And the space of the 7 Sabbaths of years shall be unto thee 40 and 9 years. Then thou shalt cause the trumpet of the Jubilee to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month. In the day of atonement shall ye make the trumpet sound throughout all your land. And ye shall hallow the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. It shall be a jubilee unto you, and ye shall return every man unto his possession, and ye shall return every man unto his family. A jubilee shall that 50th year be unto you. Ye shall not sow, neither reap that which groweth of itself in it, nor gather the grapes in it of the vine undressed. For it is the jubilee. It shall be holy unto you. Ye shall eat the increase thereof out of the field. In the year of this jubilee ye shall return every man unto his possession. And if thou sell aught unto thy neighbor, or buyest aught of thy neighbor's hand, ye shall not oppress one another. According to the number of years after the jubilee thou shalt buy of thy neighbor, and according unto the number of years of the fruits he shall sell unto thee. According to the multitude of years thou shalt increase the price thereof, and according to the fewness of years shalt thou diminish the price of it. For according to the number of years of the fruits doth he sell unto thee. Now, what he's talking about there is this. In the 50th year, that is after the 49th year, everything on the 50th year returns back to the original owner. So he's saying if you're going to buy property or sell property, base it on the number of years before the 50th year. So if I were to buy that on the first year of the 50, I could sell it for more money. Or I would be willing to pay more money because I'm going to have it for 49 years. But if I buy it in the 48th year or sell it in the 48th year, then the price is going to be diminished because we're only talking about 2 years. That's what he's talking about there. You operate the buying and selling on the basis of the years before the Jubilee. And then he says, ye shall not therefore oppress one another, but thou shalt fear thy God, for I am the Lord your God. Wherefore ye shall do my statutes and keep my judgments and do them, and ye shall dwell in the land in safety. And the land shall yield her fruit, and ye shall eat your fill and dwell therein safety. And if ye shall say, what shall we eat the 7th year? Behold, we shall not sow nor gather in our increase. Then I will command my blessings upon you in the 6th year, and it shall bring forth fruit for 3 years. What is he saying? God said on that last 7th year, on the 7th year, they were not allowed to plant, sow, reap, any of that. So God increased the 6th year to cover the 7th. But in the year of Jubilee, God increased the 6th year so much that they had meat enough for the Sabbath year and the year of Jubilee. And ye shall sow the 8th year and eat of the old fruit until the 9th year. Until her fruits come in, ye shall eat of the old store. When I was just a boy in Pensacola, Florida, we did a reenactment of the Battle of Concord. We had Paul Revere making his famous midnight ride and his cry of the red coats are coming, the red coats are coming. All the Americans, the revolutionary soldiers, American soldiers, were in the choir loft. behind the modesty rail. And the British came in their red coats from the side doors of the auditorium like this, down in front of the stage. I can see it now. There was a boy by the name of Mike. He was a big guy, kind of a tall boy for the age we were, and he was the lead of the Redcoats. I happened to be one of the Americans up in the choir loft. All of us had our little guns in our hands, and of course, none of them were going to fire. And as the Redcoats came out, somebody took a BB gun that had no BBs in it, and it was cocked. And then, just as everybody got there, the Americans stood up in the choir loft, the Redcoats were down here, and all of a sudden, somebody pulled the trigger on that BB gun that popped. And when it popped, everybody fell down dead. It was the most powerful shot heard round the world, was that little BB gun popping on that day. I will never forget it as we celebrated Independence Day. What a time it was. Many celebrated yesterday our country's day of declaring independence from England and gave thanks for the victory of General Washington and his ragtag army over the mighty British Army. England had men, they had munitions, and the means, but they did not have God on their side. For the nation of Israel, the year of Jubilee was a wonderful year of restoration and liberty. Verse 10 tells us that they were to proclaim liberty throughout all the land to all the inhabitants thereof. If America rejoiced at the liberty that was won from England, how much more would we appreciate it if we were set free from the bondage of circumstances and were able to be restored back to the inheritance and positions that had been lost. God made a wonderful provision for his people so that they were not defeated and down forever. If a person had sold land but could not redeem it in the year of Jubilee, it was restored back to them again. It was a celebration year and one that was intended to picture the liberty of the soul set free and restored by the Lord's mercy. What a joy to know that just as surely as the Lord proclaimed liberty to his people in Israel, he proclaims liberty to all that trust in him and follow his word. The Lord identifies the year of Jubilee to be the 50th year. Every 7 years was a Sabbath year, and after 7 Sabbaths, then the 50th year was called the year of Jubilee. Everything reverted back, as we said a moment ago. And so they would cry out. The high priest actually, on the Day of Atonement, would step out of the Holy of Holies before the congregation of the people and say to them, I declare this the year of liberty. And boy, when he did, the Jubilee, man, the cry went through the land. I cannot imagine what that was. All debts were ended. Property was returned to its original owner. Indentured slaves who were slaving to work off debt were set free or put to liberty, as the Bible says. The Declaration of Independence that we have and celebrated on yesterday was a cry for liberty in 1776. The Revolutionary War to separate us from the rule of England and King George was a cry for liberty. The first shots were fired at Concord on April 19, 1775. Officially, the signing of the Treaty of Paris on September 3, 1783, ended the Revolutionary War, but the combat fighting, actually, operations ended with the surrender at Yorktown in 1781. It is one of the greatest miracles in history. The Brits were better armed. Most of the Americans were farmers fighting with their equipment that they had on the farm. Britain had the structure, the supplies, and the finances. However, God intervened, and liberty was won by this ragtag army. We could say that while 56 signed the Declaration of Independence, which is true, and pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor, yet in truth, every soldier in the Continental Army signed with the blood that he offered for us to be free. But it was God who declared that to be our year of Jubilee and set in motion the greatest republic the world has known. However, as great as this was, the greatest liberty ever is the liberty that we have in Christ, in the soul set free. We have the promise of eternity that the world cannot match. As Jesus declared, if the Son shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. Now it is our turn to declare liberty for all that will come to Jesus by faith. God bless you for listening today. I hope you'll join with us again tomorrow right here. God bless you today is my